Just not think about it. Hey guys, welcome back. Today, we're having a little sit-down, casual chit-chat because we wanted to recap our past year, 2022, what we've been up to, what's been happening, and we actually asked you guys to ask some questions. So we're going to be answering those as well. Are you ready?
Ready?
So, a bit of a recap of 2022. I think beginning of 2022, I was working full-time at an architecture firm, planning the wedding, trying to study business psychology, and I was also applying for this strategist program all at once. And in that time, there were like a lot of wedding activities, not just for us, but for other people as well.
We had a lot of people come over to the apartment.
Yes.
To hang out, to plan wedding stuff, but also just to swim. Bouldering was around the corner.
Korean barbecue.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, that was really nice. And then we got married. And then hit the fan. That feels like that's when 2022 started for me.
It did feel like the year started then.
Yeah.
It's like we thought that the wedding was difficult, then it's like a whole new challenge was like gonna surprise us that it's gonna be way more difficult.
Yeah. You moved into the apartment. We had a good, peaceful week. I got the job and then pretty much packed everything up into boxes. And then we went to Thailand for our honeymoon / visa appointment. But that was nice.
A lot of uncertainty still. We had to put our passports in to the embassy in Bangkok, and then we also booked some time in Koh Samui.
Yeah.
So we had to catch a flight without our passports, which was stressful, but fortunately worked out well.
And then we got approved for a visa, thankfully. Came back to Sydney and we were living with my parents for another 2 weeks until we left. And then we moved here.
As soon as we landed in New York, after getting our visa, we struggled to find a place.
We had a place, like we were subletting for a bit, and then I actually got really sick, right?
Very sick.
And then around the same time, you got called on to go on a North American tour. So you left, and then I was here, like had to move around a bit and struggled to find a place for us to live. Like that went on for like a good 2-ish months. But how was your tour?
Tour was awesome. I got to meet so many cool people. It opened my eyes to the world of possibilities. Yeah, through the people I met, definitely inspired me to, I think, pursue what I'm doing a little bit more seriously and know that what I'm creating can be something really impactful. Yeah, it was tiring though, but it was good.
Yeah, that seemed like it was really rough for you. So he was having a rough time at tour. Having a rough time here, though yours is probably a bit more inspiring. But we eventually found a place, and in 1 week, we got our lease approved. You came back from tour, we moved in, and then we flew to London. Met up with some family there. Then we actually flew back to Australia for Maddie and Dave's wedding, so that was really nice. And then came back here, and then...
Now we're living.
Yeah, just building the apartment up and getting furniture and whatnot. And we also had like a few friends visit us, which was really nice. But yeah, we're pretty much just zooming through this. So much happened. But how are you finding being married so far?
It's good, because I don't think we had much time to reflect on married life.
Yeah.
Since we're always doing something.
Yeah.
But yeah, married life is good.
Yeah.
I don't think it's very different from what I expected. You know, we just live together.
Right.
And then we just make compromises but it's fun.
You know how people say marriage ties you down? Have you ever felt that? Like...
I don't think so. Because most of the things that we want to do in life are very much aligned.
Yeah.
So for going on tour, it was quite easy for us to, make the decision to do that, even though I'm going to be away for a little bit.
Even like moving here and everything.
Yeah, well, we've spoken about moving all the time.
Yeah.
originally we were thinking about going to London if America didn't pan out. So we always had it in the back of our mind to move.
Yeah.
So I think
it just came suddenly.
Yeah, I think talking about our hopes and dreams a lot, I think didn't make it a shock when we did move too much.
Well, we do have a few questions from the people.
That's nice.
People actually ask questions. Isn't that nice? Okay, the first question is, how is living in New York? Any culture shocks? Living in New York it's really exciting, but not in the way that I was expecting. When I first came here in 2017, I was like in Times Square, you know? So I felt like, oh, New York is like somewhere where I can be overstimulated, like there's so many like flashing lights and whatever. So that's what I was expecting. When we moved here, we were living around Chelsea, and it's a lot more like low-rise buildings. It's not like everything's towering above you and flashing in your face. It's still loud, but it wasn't the same experience that I was expecting from when we went to Times Square. So that was different. But I think the exciting thing is the people that you meet and just how intelligent they are, and they're driven in a different way where they're not trying to drag you down. But everyone's just so focused on what they're doing that they're not trying to rise up by bringing you down. They're just trying to rise up. And everyone's trying to do the same thing, so you just feel inspired because everyone's so driven. But living is interesting. There are a lot of things that you learn to tune out. And like, you know, all the TikToks and reels that people send me, is this real? Like, does this actually happen there? Yes, it does. And
like what?
Well, like all the things in the subway, like all the funny people around the streets that do things to you. Even like the other day, how this lady sprayed me in the face with like Ajax or whatever.
Yeah, that was really weird.
All these things are just constantly happening around you that you just have to tune it out. I feel like inherently that helps with focus. You know, like you just end up being like, you know, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing because like there's no point paying attention to it. So
I like the idea here that people push one another. People are more open to collaborate, I find. I think one of the biggest things was when I first was looking for job opportunities. One of the guys I was talking to, I was just like discussing, you know, this role and different things, and the thing that came up most often that he said was, I'm from New York, you can be real with me. Yeah. And it's cool. I like that. I like that people don't take offense to too many things.
Yeah, super blunt.
Yeah.
But not in a douchebag way. Like, they're still kind about it. They're just saying it as a matter of fact.
Yes.
Yeah. But I will say that it is not as bustly as it was, obviously because of COVID. I know eventually they'll recover. Next question is, advice for moving to the States? Or it could be like moving overseas. But I have one that is specific to the States.
Go for it.
One thing that is so frustrating here is how inconvenient and convoluted all the official documents that you need. Like all these little things that you have to do that has to do with immigration and everything is super complicated. So I guess the first tip is get ready for how complicated these things are. I don't know, like, I mean, and maybe it's because we're citizens in Australia, so we don't really have to think about these things.
Yes.
Because we're not immigrants. But, I don't know, every little thing just needs some sort of form filled out, or you need to visit the physical office and you need to give 5 forms of ID, and everything needs to be the physical, original, official copy. Even like opening a bank account, all this stuff, credit scores, yada yada. Like there's just all these systems in place that just were not in place in Australia. That to me, like everything's just so inconvenient. Even Venmo. The fact that it doesn't go straight, like we have Beam It in Australia.
Yeah.
It goes straight into your account, like you don't even think about it. Venmo, it goes into your Venmo wallet. Then you have to like transfer it. If you want to transfer it immediately, it costs you. If you don't, then just all these little things. Checks are still a thing here.
Yeah, I got a check.
Like, just stuff like that I'm like, why?
Yeah, I think so. And I think just giving yourself a little bit of a buffer. Biggest thing is just save up. Saving up is like...
That's your tip number 2.
Yeah. Obviously, the more you have, the easier it's going to be. Just relieves a lot of stress.
Yeah.
On top of maybe moving for work, and then you starting a new job, you're filling out documents to be there, you're finding a place to do that. If, say, something happened with your pay, that we didn't get paid in time, just having...
Which I didn't for like a month, right? Because of the social security issue.
Yeah, so having something like a little bit of a buffer to be able to lean on, I think reduces that stress. And then even just to like, you know, we were eating out a lot when we first came here, just because it's easier, we're staying at someone else's place, so we couldn't cook. So I think having a bit of a buffer just allows you to not stress too much.
How much do you think one should have in the back pocket as a single?
I think a spare 10k USD is always a good reference. But this is a 10k that should be excluding all the other fees that you have.
Yeah, like no visa fees, excluding the sublet or whatever accommodation you're doing is just literally extra.
Yeah.
My third advice is kind of relates to the first thing, but get ready for how complicated healthcare is here. When I did get sick, it was just an added layer of stress that I couldn't just go to the doctor. They'll order me a bunch of tests and I'll do those tests and not even think about cost whatsoever, right? And at the time as well, because I was on probation, I didn't have my health insurance yet. So it was ridiculous. I was like Googling how much is a blood test. You know what I mean? Like things that we don't even have to think about in Australia. And it's funny, like I actually didn't do anything, which could have been bad, but thankfully it wasn't, till we went back to Australia. So that was about 3-ish months. And I got everything done there. Went to the doctor's appointment. She ordered me like a bunch of tests to do. And I would say even with insurance, I estimate that like all those things would have cost $500 to $1,000. That is wild. I have one last tip, actually.
Okay.
This is more like broadly moving overseas. But a lot of people have been asking us this. Like, how has moving affected your marriage? Especially our circumstance, like we found out a week after getting married. And it was like almost no questions asked. We're gonna move for this thing, right? So I feel like in our case, there wasn't really a lot of tension around, oh, but like, you're making me drop everything here or whatever. I don't know, like, how did you feel about it? That I was like, I got the job.
I'm pretty easygoing.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately my work is flexible.
But you had business in Australia. You know what I mean? And even like after moving here, you're still like doing some things in Australia. So it's not like as not big of a deal as you say. Because I know some people who are married who want to move overseas. I think it's really important to set expectations. Firstly, even before you get the opportunity to move, to talk about like, is this something we want to do? Like, well, I always ask you like, oh, what if something came up? You know, would you be happy to drop everything? And yeah, we spoke about it a lot before we even got the opportunity. But also, like, I think it's good to set expectations about, like, you can't predict everything, but if you can set expectations around, for example, if one of us were really having a hard time here and we wanted to move back, like, what would that look like? You know, don't know if we have the answer still, but anyway, it's just, I think, communication. Yeah,
communication is good. I think looking back on it, if we were to redo our move, one thing that would have been good is, which we kind of did, I think, mentally, but didn't really talk about it, was just like setting aside responsibilities so that way it also feels like we're both in it together to do the move.
Yeah.
Because like yourself, you're more initiative driven.
Yeah.
So you just kind of like do it and then you don't really talk about it. And then at sometimes it could feel like, oh, I'm doing most of the stuff for us to move. When in reality, it's like, I want to help, but I just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Or what you need help with.
This is like advice for wedding planning as well. Advice for life.
Yeah, just divvying up those tasks, I think is fun.
Yeah. What have you found has been the toughest thing?
I think it was challenging not having a job. We have savings and just like you can see it depleting. And I think it's just, I think as a guy, I ideally want to provide for the family in some capacity. And it's just like I have a little free time. I'm just kind of like bumming around looking for jobs. Yeah, so that kind of sucked. Fortunately, I found like a groove now.
And that was like for the first month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see how that would be tough.
What do you miss from Sydney since moving abroad?
This is so lame, but obviously friends and family. It sounds so cliche, but truthfully, like that is what makes the biggest difference, right? Especially for us since we moved here and we like have no family here. I have like an aunt and an uncle, but otherwise we have no other friends, no other family. Yeah, that was a big shift for me. We were hanging out a lot with them prior to moving, with all the events, but also even just having them at the apartment and just they would even sleep over. We were with other people a lot. So coming here and having no one suddenly, definitely miss that about Sydney.
When I used to travel, one thing I did before I got to the city was to find people that lived in the city and just message them to say, hey, would you like to catch up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's something I think we just didn't have the time to. We were thinking about so many other things. Yeah, maybe that's a tip for moving to another city, is just to try and meet some people. Yeah, I think community is a big thing.
It didn't help either that I was sick. So literally every time we were invited to something, like I'd have a bad flare-up.
Yeah, that was
where we can go.
I think another thing is just convenience. Australia is very convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, Woolies.
Oh, grocery shopping here is fun because there's Trader Joe's, but there's Trader Joe's all over the US.
They're not very big either.
But also like, wait, we are in the city, right? You're not gonna get the jumbo suburban grocery stores. But yeah, all the grocery stores here are so small. They're so inconvenient in that you can't just go into one, like Woolworths, and get everything that you need and go home. Like you're going to Trader Joe's for like your main things. You're going to either Whole Foods or Target if you want something branded like Chobani or Oatly. And then you go to Chinatown for your Asian goods. It's just crazy. And having a car. We sold both our cars. So they're gone.
Yeah, having a car is nice. I do dream of the day that we go on a road trip. What's been the most memorable moment so far in your marriage?
When I saw this question pop up, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what moment it is. I don't have any specific moment, but I think to me, the moments where I was most just felt this thing about our marriage is when we were in the deepest pits of struggle, but we would always just work together to figure it out. It's funny, like our biggest fights have been the dumbest, shallowest things, like the iPad.
Our wedding was really fun.
Yeah.
Beyond that, yeah, I think it's just like being a team that really showed when we moved.
Yeah.
Because like we had so many bags. I don't think so one person couldn't hold them all together.
Yeah.
So it's like we're like divvying up responsibilities. I was like manning the bags and you went to go get the key.
Yeah.
Which was like down the street.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we're just like unloading our bags, like just like a little team.
That's exactly what I'm trying to describe as well. Like just the little moments where we really had to work together. It's like real life, just the two of us, like always tag teaming. Like it takes two. Yeah.
Where to next?
Where to next?
My realization for I think coming here and the experiences I've had over the past few months, well, firstly, it's humbled me into what I know and what I thought I knew, and just the possibilities. Because I always think that what I'm doing, making videos, and I think the videos that I was making at the time didn't inspire me or push me to believe in myself that I could make more impactful work. So coming here, being inspired and humbled by how much I don't know, I'm excited for the next few years to be able to learn as much as I can especially while we're here, being surrounded by so many cool people that can teach us so many things.
Work's always been interesting for me, but I think I do work in a really inspiring company. So being able to collaborate with brands that I wouldn't have been able to collaborate with before is really good. We're surrounded by so many intelligent people that I just want to continue to learn off them and get as much knowledge as I can, but also start to build things that I can be proud of, like work that I can be proud of, to say that, yeah, this is a great brand that I collaborated with and this is the work that I did for it. On a personal level, what's next?
I think personal and marriage kind of go hand in hand. Even though life is unpredictable, ideally I would like to have somewhat of a routine that we're always constantly refining, but it does feel like we are very sporadic in what we do. I was listening to a podcast. It was actually the guy that started Canva.
Yeah.
And he was saying that both of them are very spontaneous people, and especially with the work that they do, they don't have a routine. So when they had their first child, they went to see a specialist and they said routine is key for kids. Ideally in general, I think life works well when you have a routine. For me, I think I would love to build a personal routine. It doesn't have to be so strict, but ideally also like setting aside time to do certain things, trips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Small dates here and there, I think is good.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think habits and routine actually free you up to think more creatively and give you more freedom. I think I was actually personally hell-bent on creating a routine and it just didn't work for me. I'm trying to create habits at the moment instead of a routine, but it's kind of based on a routine. But it's not a routine. You know, a lot of people say you need to set a goal and that's the thing. That'll be the defining driver of whatever you pursue, right? But for me, goals just overwhelm me. If I say to myself, I want to produce a YouTube video every week, and I get to Friday, for example, and I haven't done anything on it, I just kind of think, oh, I hate myself for not doing anything. And I end up just spiraling and ultimately giving up on doing it. So the way I'm building habits now is by just doing little things. This is for YouTube videos. If I can pick up my laptop, open DaVinci, and edit for 5 minutes, that's like nothing. But if I can edit for 5 minutes every day, then I can say to myself, you know what, you've done what you had to do for the day. And more often than not, like, you just keep editing because you've already started. For marriage, we're both very individual people and we both have individual pursuits, just trying to keep in touch. We sound like we're friends. I don't know, like, you know?
I don't know.
I guess just like to continue to appreciate each other and not take each other for granted just because we're not pursuing anything together. You know what I mean? Like when you're dating, it's like you're working up to marriage. Naturally, when you're married, you're working up to having kids. But we're not looking to have kids yet. Yeah, I actually don't know what I'm saying. I'm gonna cut it here.
Well, the final question is kids. I think kids are good. No matter what. Kids or no kids, we'll just like continue to enjoy the time.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest part. I think oftentimes you just view other people's life and you're like, wow, they must be living it.
Yeah.
And I think we just forget to enjoy the time that we have.
Yeah.
So whether we have kids or don't have kids now, I think I'm just looking forward to enjoying the time together.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I agree. But when are we having on planning kids?
For me, I don't really look at age necessarily. I think a lot of people would look at age and be like, okay, this is probably a better time to have kids. It's usually the woman that they look at age.
Yeah.
More.
Correct.
Turn it around. And for me, I don't really think about that. I think more like financially and just in our life at the moment. Like, I wouldn't want to have kids when we're like moving overseas again. So just timing it to what opportunities come our way.
Yeah, I think I was actually super afraid to have kids. It's still really scary to me, especially because obviously I'm the one who has to get pregnant. I'm the one who has to give birth. And I am essentially mandated to take time off work. And even if I go back, like, it'll have to be part-time. No, that's not true. Some moms go back full-time straight away, like after a few months. But, you know, obviously I'd still want that choice to spend a lot of time with our kid, especially when they're a baby. That time goes by so quickly and such a precious time. But then that takes like a big hit on my career, right? So I was very afraid of it. The flip side is I love that my mom and I had a smaller age gap. We are about 24, 25 years apart. And it's nice. They're still relatively young now. We can still go traveling. They're still kind of fit. And I think that's nice. I'd love to be able to be around more during our kids' lives. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I think the other thing is like, so we did put a number around it, which is around 3-ish years plus or minus. The other thing is if anything were to happen, and it happens, like, and we were to have kids earlier than expected or later than expected, I don't want to see it as them tying us down or anything, right? Because there's a notion about marriage, and then there's an even bigger notion about kids tying you down. You know, a lot of people will call me naive since we don't have kids, but I think it's definitely still possible to strive for the things that you want to do, even with kids. Obviously, there's going to be bigger compromises, bigger than what you have to compromise with your spouse. But I don't want to say it's impossible. So if something were to happen, I want to be able to take it joyfully and still continue to do the things we want to do. Any thoughts for 2023?
No, not specifically. I'm excited though. I'm excited to settle into New York a little bit more. Yeah, we've been bouncing around a lot. So
yeah,
even with the apartment, we only had that for such a
6
short
months.
time.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to, even though we'll probably move out of this apartment in
6 months.
a few months, yeah, then we're on to the next journey. But I'm excited to build a community here, hopefully. Explore the States a little bit more whilst we're here. And Europe, since it's so close.
I'm excited for this year. It felt like last year was such a whirlwind of change. And it felt like last year was catching up with all of that. And now we're back at normal speed again. So now we can start moving forward rather than trying to catch up, to just get settled.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for watching. Please like, smash that button. And thank you to everyone who submitted questions. If you guys enjoyed, you look like
just yawning, so.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed more than he's enjoying it. If you guys enjoy these videos, let us know. And either way, it's just nice to look back.
Either way, we're gonna make it.
Alright, we'll see you next time. Bye.